So first, Benjamin McCumber married his beautiful wife in April 1999. He's the father of 6 and lives in Manti, Utah. He's part owner of Ben Game and Games with his sweet wife Melissa, who's here today, and his brother-in-law Russell, who's also here today, and Matthew Gardner, who's not here today, right? But we don't. It's okay. He loves to make things fun and turn everything into a game. Ben is an active member of the Manti Volunteer Fire Department and finds much joy in serving and helping his community. He's also very active in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. His current employment is working construction with his family and Ben Game and Games. He received a Bachelor's of Biology from Utah Valley University in 2005. Ben believes that people are more important than things. We succeed as a community when we recognize the best in each other and lift and build each other up. Russell Gardner began his adventure when he, November 20th, 2010, when he married the love of his life, Cindy, who's also here today. Together they have created a home for their 5 beautiful children, which is the joy of his life. Russ served as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to the people of Honduras, where he learned Spanish and continues to use Spanish in his personal and professional life. Anyone from Honduras here in the class? There you go. Hopefully you guys can connect after this. In December 2013, Russ graduated with a Bachelor of Behavioral Science with an emphasis in family studies. Russ is like Batman. During the day, he helps protect family finances, assets, and their future as a licensed insurance agent. And by night, he serves the people of Gotham.
Thank you. All right, guys. So they talked about having a PowerPoint. Sorry, I'm not a technology kind of guy. As you can tell, working with construction and working in the game store and hanging out. So you don't get a PowerPoint. I know you were all disappointed in that, but hopefully not too badly. So let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to do. With Ben Gaming Games, we believe that people are more important than things. That includes money, games, items. And I'm going to talk a little bit about where this comes from. Because I think if you are going to be successful at this, you've got to hit with your core. What sticks to you? What's important to you? If it's important to you, then you're going to be able to make it happen. Because on the downside or the backside of this or the front side, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of work that's involved in anything that you do. And if you're not connected to it, then it's really easy to go, I really don't want to do that today, and walk away, right? I can do that in a month from now. So we believe, like I said, that people are more important than things. We also want to create an area where people can come, anybody can come, and feel like they belong, and that they can connect and create a wonderful experience and have that memory in their mind. That is our goal. Our other goal is that we want every family to find a game that they enjoy. Now, let's talk about why this resonates with me. So I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about what resonates, some of my life experiences. Everybody has life experiences. Those things mark you one way or another, right? You carry those things with you. Now, having said that, it doesn't define who you are, all right? And this is hard, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So, number one, when I was a young man, we had a great big move. So we moved from Utah, where I was born. I was born in Provo at a very young age, a few years ago. And we moved to Maine, which is on the East Coast. Needless to say, there's a substantial difference in the culture between Utah and Maine and that kind of stuff that goes on. In that process, though, we ended up living in, I think it was 23 houses in about almost a 3-year period. My mom and dad at the time were struggling a little bit, not a ton with finance, but we were never very wealthy. And they had decided they were going to build this dream home. They were excited about this dream home. They had put all this money down for it. And one of the partners of the company decided to take all the funds from everybody, not just my mom and dad, and skip the country and fled. Left his other partner standing there going, sorry, I don't have funds to procure the properties anymore or the building materials or anything like this. So in the midst of this massive move, we headed over, we're excited. Your plans changed immediately. And next thing we know, we're going, what do we do? Anyway, needless to say, my mom would go through and she would find a house that was for sale. Now, this was way back in 80s, 80, 87, 88, 89, 86, that area. And so house staging wasn't a thing that was done at that point. So they would have a house that was on the market. My sweet mom would go up and say, hey, we'll help stage the house. So we would move in, stage the house. She would make bread or cookies the day that people were coming. We would kind of keep it nice and clean, which meant we didn't have a lot of toys. We didn't have a lot of stuff. It got to the point where we didn't even bother to unpack our boxes because you would be in a house for a month or two. They would sell it. We would move out. Mom would find a new house. We would move into a new house and live there, which was great. We got to see all sorts of things. But it also made it so that your connections with friends really kind of got disrupted. So there wasn't a lot of close friends that we hung out with forever. We just kind of moved around. And because we were transient, it was very hard to do that. But so having said that, I started learning that, you know what? Stuff really doesn't matter. You can have a new whatever it is, and that might bring you joy for a little bit. But what really matters is who you're with and what you're doing with that person. The other thing, though, was in high school, towards the middle of high school, I decided to join the fire department. In Maine, they're all volunteer fire departments, so it's fantastic. I think the statistic is still 70 to 80% of all fire departments are volunteer. And so I would go and hang out with fire department members, and we would train 2 days a week, and we'd have a good time, and we would get to go to calls. One of the joys of that was I got to get out of school. And so we would get out of school, and we would go and would respond to a call. And it was great, a lot of fun. But I also learned skills there. One of the things that we're working really hard in the culture in the fire department is the fact that everybody has a voice. We need to hear from everybody. Yes, we have a chain of command, and we try to follow that chain of command. But if you see something that's not right, you see something that's a warning, they want you to speak up. They want you to say, hey, did you notice this? Let's work on this. And do it in such a manner that it's respectful, courteous, but that we can communicate information clearly. They don't want you to go in just because Chief said, hey, we're going in, and getting killed. All right? So it's very important. So we learn that communication is very clear and very important piece of it. Now, having said that, one of our struggles still is we have 5 or 6 of us that are working at the game store and trying to help develop this culture and move this forward. And I think still, to one of our faults or one of our things that we're working on, I don't want to say struggling with, but working on is communication, right? Clear communication as a group, as a team. All right, so we're going to back up just a little bit. So in this process, we didn't have a lot, and we would build. So I would tinker and I would make games in the sidelines. So, because it was a lot of fun. And you go, but it costs a lot of money to make games. And you go, well, maybe. I'm going to pass this around. This has some pieces of paper. Some of these are index cards. So this was a rough draft of a game. This is how you start it. You take an index card, you scribble a note on there. It says yellow dragon, right? And then you've got a little picture. And this one is a yellow dragon, and it's got a fire attack. So this one's kind of another iteration of it. Something that you can do very simply, that doesn't cost a lot of money to mess with, to start the idea. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start building as you go along. So we would mess and build games. So when I was a kid, that was one of my hobbies, one of my things. And I'm going to bring up another point here, hopefully not digress too much, but it will loop back around. So the other thing is When I was in elementary school, I struggled with school immensely. I would do really good in all my classes except for English. And in English, they would give us a spelling list, and it had 20 words in it, and I would spell 4 right out of the 20. And the teacher would say, I don't know what's wrong with this kid. He's just not smart enough. He's not going to be able to figure this out. And he needs to work harder. So my sweet mom would work with me, and we would work hours and hours after school. And I would practice, and I would write it 20 times, and I would write it in a sentence, and I would practice test. And guess what? I'd still get 4 out of 20 right. They were a different 4 than the first 4, just a random 4. It didn't matter, and it was just like, ugh. So I'd go through, I'd do everything else okay in English. I just could not spell to save my life. Later on, they found out that it's a dyslexia thing, and so they were like, oh, he's got dyslexia. And it's like, oh, okay, great. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. Except for I am so grateful that they invented the computer, because the computer knows how to spell words a lot better than I do. I just have to look them up now and go, is that the word I really want, or is that the word I want? So it's great fun. But having said that, I had a second grade teacher that sat down with my mom and dad, said there's no way he's going to make it through high school. I would go to regular English one year. I would fail it. They would give me a C- or D+, just so that they could get me to the next class. I'd do summer school, and then we would go to remedial English, is what they called it back in those days. So instead of regular English, I'd go to remedial English. And I would go there, and they would be like, okay, we're going to practice reading. Well, I could read pretty good. I had great comprehension, so I could remember what we read and talked about. And so I would get an A in that class, and they'd be like, you don't belong in this class. You belong in the regular class. So then the next year I would be in the remedial class, or the regular class. I'd fail it again, and then they would flop me back and forth. So this is how they dealt with it back in the late 70s, early 80s. Anyway, so it's interesting. So I did not fit in very well with school. I didn't have a lot of social friends that I hung out with for all of grade school and all that stuff, because we were moving and struggling with all this as we went. So we started figuring out what was a great way that I could connect with somebody, you know. And so we started inventing games and playing games, and we'd bring friends over, or I'd go hang out with friends, and I'd be like, did you see this? We could do this, and we'd play a game. Anyway, shortly after I got married, Sweet Russell came into the picture. Now, Sweet Russell is a little bit younger. I don't remember. How old are you? 9, 10? 9, 10 years old. Now, I was the oldest, so I was used to younger brothers and sisters. I missed not having them when I moved to Utah and was out looking and coming to school and college and all that other stuff. And so I was just trying to figure out, man, what do we do? So Melissa came with ready-made little brothers, which is fantastic, and I adopted most of them. And at the time, there was a game that was called Gauntlet. The old NES one, way back in the day, was one of my favorites. And then they had come up with a new one in the Nickelcade that was Gauntlet Legends or something. I don't know. You had your little character, your wizard, your elf, your dwarf. You were moving around, and you were fighting, and you were trying to collect resources and that kind of stuff. So at one point, because I couldn't afford to go to the Nickelcade, but maybe once every 6 months or so, we decided to design our own board. So we made our own board, and it sits together. And I made this one. This one is 26, 27 years, 25 years old, something like that now. So it's just an old piece of foam that we had, and we glued it together, and we designed walls and built it. And I'd play with Russell. So I would go to work, go to school, come home, and Russell and his nephews or his cousins would come over, not nephews because he's not old enough. Now he's old enough. But so he'd bring his cousins over, and they would play, and they'd play all night. And then I would play with them for a little bit, and then I'd go to bed, get up, and do that all over again. So this is one of Russell's fondest memories. And the reason why we brought it is because it kind of catacombs into the next. So we talked about what would it take to make this into a game. And we were looking at it, and we went, the finances for building a game of this size because this is a monster size board. You go, here's your board in full. All right, this is what it looks like. Russell's super excited because we did this all with colored pencil. This one's not anymore, but this is, but that was the original. So it's a monster board like this. I'm gonna throw it at Russell for a minute, sorry. Oh, he's gonna hold it, he's excited. And then it has hundreds of cards. So here's the first prototype, which is just a piece of paper with written numbers on it, scribbles. You can probably hardly read what it says, but you can pass that one around. Then we upgraded because they invented the computer. I got a hold of a computer. I remember going to Mom and Dad's place, and we borrowed their Excel. Back then, I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't even Excel. It was something. But so then we created these cards that are, and this one's great. I'm going to let you see this one. Don't tell Russell. That's one of his drawings because he loved it, so he added a character to it. But these were just Excel spreadsheet that we modified to use to make cards out of so that we had a test card. But there's thousands of these because I always thought it was great. The only downfall I had with a lot of games is that they have the same 6 bad guys you fight over and over and over again. And I was like, this is a huge world. We need to have all sorts of things. Orcs, goblins, dragons, everything you can name under the sun. So we were trying to do that. Well, we're looking at it and we're like, that's going to take quite a bit of fundage and money to make it happen, which is all right? So then a few years later, Sweet Russell was excited. He had found a game that's called Mechs versus Minions, which is one where you move your mechs around and you start attacking these little minions, or these little minions are trying to attack you. And he was playing with his kids, and at this point he had little ones. They were all probably from here to, well, yes, somewhere in that height, just little guys. And so they'd be like, I want to play with you, Dad. So he'd sit down and play with them. And that one is actually a really fun mechanic of you're programming your robot. So you put down what you think you want the robot to do, and then events in the game change what happens. So your mech may not be where you thought it was, and it's going to move forward, turn right, and then walk off the edge of the cliff. Well, you thought it was going to go up further and over. Anyway, it was a little much for the little ones. But they had great fun just pulling the mechs out and moving them around. So Russell said, you know what? We need to design a little addition game. So this is a little addition game that Russell designed and came up with that we were able to publish. Now, we published 1,000 of these. Why did we do 1,000? Does anybody know? Come on, you guys have been thinking about stuff. Why would you do 1,000? Oh, he's got a prize. Exposures, partial. Okay. All right. So here's the reality. If I print one of these, how much does it cost me to print one game? Do you know? Not 5,000. It used to be something crazy like that. But if you were to buy one print of this game, it's close to $49. Okay, $49, $50. Can I sell this game for $59? Probably not. I'm going to show you what's in it. It's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. It is beautiful. We've got some 3D erasers that are your people to move around because we wanted it to not be plain Jane. We didn't want it just to be little pawns that moved around. So we've got these 3D erasers. We've got 3 dice that are 6-sided, and then we've got 3 12-sided dice. The reason why we have 3 6-sided dice is because you can start with kids and have them add the dots together. And then when you get up further, you can roll the 12-sided dice, which has numbers on it. So they have to go 1 plus 5 is 6, instead of counting them up. There's a little instruction book that says this is what you are, how you play. It's not a very big one. It's just a tiny instruction book. And then we have a board in here and a thank you business card that doesn't work anymore, but that's okay. That's too many years old now. But that's all right. So, and here's your board, right? Okay. If I was at Walmart I couldn't buy this or sell this for $59. I can't sell this for $59, which is okay. So the more you buy, the better the price point becomes for you. So doing 1,000 of them, they cost us about $9 for the whole thing to get it built. That was including us folding all the boxes. We had a great time folding boxes and sticking everything in, and then we sent it back to them, and they shrink wrap it for us, which was fantastic. I'm gonna pass this guy around. So we designed this one, and we were like, yeah, we got it. We got 1,000 copies of this. So then we went out to sell 1,000 copies of a game. We don't have a web page. We don't have anything at this point. We're just like, we've got it. We're going to go for this. And then we were like, you know what we need is another game to help us get a little more traction. So our next game that we made was Spud. And after we went through how expensive it was to do a box, we thought maybe we put it in a bag. So here's our bag that holds everything together. It's kind of nice. Look at this. Your instructions are printed right on the bag, on the back. They're not the clearest, but they're there. We got a little picture on the front. And then we had these, what are they called? Wristbands. Thanks. Uh-oh, Melissa's giving me the, I'm almost out of time. It's all right. So our wristband. And so this one is a fun outdoor game that we played. So we set this up. This is one we used to play as kids all the time, and a lot of people don't even know what it is. So I'd spend many hours with youth groups playing this game, and it's a great way to help equalize it. So what do we do with this? We've got 2 games, no platform to sell them in. Find a platform. We need communication. I love it. You're right. So part of this is you can be doing fantastic things and trying to do fantastic things, but if you're not communicating with people, then it doesn't get anywhere. One of the things that I've learned is that as a group, we have a much better chance of solving the problem. As the group, we can make things better. The same applies the other way, though. We can make things worse. We can cause problems, right? So how do we do that? Number 1, remember who you are. You are valued. You are needed, and you are making a difference. You're changing the world. You need to know that. By doing something or not doing something, you're changing the world. And I know sometimes people go, no, there's just 1 million people. I don't count. It doesn't matter. And I think, unfortunately, in our world now, there's such a bombardment of everything out there. Who knows how many YouTube channels there are? Who knows how many websites there are? Does anybody have a rough idea? I have no idea. Millions of them, right? But what is it that they're trying to share? What is it they're trying to teach, right? So, connections. Make sure you're making good connections. That's what 98% of this class is about. No, if you haven't figured it out yet. Sorry, I'm not trying to break your rules here. But your whole objective, guys, is to connect, to start learning how to do that. I got forced into that because, you know what? I was living in this house for 2 months. I was living in that house for 2 months. I was living in that house for 2 months. I was going to this school for a little while. I went to this school for a little bit. What that does is that makes it so you have to figure out how can I make a connection quickly, and how can I figure out who to hang with and who not to hang with. So part of college is figuring out these connections. Who are you going to be with? How are you going to work? How are you going to continue to do this stuff? Okay, and then direction. Make sure you know where you want to go. I want you to think about, as we go through this, what do you want the world to look like? Do you like the way it looks now? Do you want to change it? So I have a sweet daughter that's on a mission. She's coming home Friday. Melissa's super excited about that. I'm super excited about that too. So having said that, we moved to Manti. She would drive up and she'd stop up in the Salt Lake Valley someplace. And she'd stop in Provo and she'd stop in Orem. And she would go to a game store up there and she would bring home a fun game for us all to try out, which was great. I loved it. And then I started thinking, why don't we have a game store here? You guys know where the nearest game stores are to right here besides Ben Gaming Games? It's a few yards that way. Where's the nearest one after that? You guys know?
The nearest one is Pleasant Grove.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pleasant Grove, so all the way up to Pleasant Grove, Orem, Utah somewhere, right? There's one more that's kind of close. Where's the other one at? Does anybody know? Somebody on the front row here said Richfield, which is south about an hour. So you can go north an hour, you can go south an hour. And so we thought, you know what? I would like for something else to be here. Don't get me wrong, I love the mountains. It's fantastic. I like spending as much time as I can up there. I like swimming. I like doing sports. But during the winter, there are some times when it's just not as much fun to go out and be in those areas. So we thought, let's change it. Let's make something here that people can use and do and come and make connections here. So that's where we started at. Last year, we started, no, not last year. It was the year before. It was October 9th, 22. He was giving me the 22 sign. And I was like, uh-oh, am I really out of time? So that's when we started our little venture. We actually found somebody that was looking to open a children's thrift store at the same time. And we were wandering around looking for buildings, places to rent. And we kept running into each other because we were at the same locations, because there's only X number of buildings in this area that you could use. And she finally got a lease for the space that's over there. And she's like, would you be willing to split with us? And we said, yeah, that would be great. And so she started, she had the big front, and we were in this little corner in the back. So if you ever come by, I can show you the corner in the back where we were at when we started. We had 2 tables and 4 shelves. So my bio picture that I sent, I don't know if it ended up anywhere. That one's got a sweet picture of my sweetheart, myself, Russell's taking the picture, but there's another one where he's in it. We've got 3 shelves with a few games on it. And people were like, what are you doing? I said, we're building a game store. And they were like, what is that? Anyway, if you come by now, you'd be surprised at how much we've grown in the last year. So it's been great. A lot of hard work. Now I'm going to let Russell talk to you for a second about successes and failures, I think, or something like that. And whatever else he wants to talk to you about. 3 seconds. I'm going to do a quick change. Thank you all, though. Sorry, guys. I yapped way too much.
Thank you, Ben. So Ben's been a huge inspiration in my life, and ever since I was a little kid, and made me realize that this world is awesome and fantastic. So when he's said that, you look at our store at the beginning, no joke, we had like 10 games in the whole store. We had to start somewhere. We couldn't have filled up those 2 tables right there. That wouldn't have been a thing. But now we've got hundreds and hundreds of games. There's thousands and thousands of dollars of product in there, and it's just unreal. The whole thing is packed. But that's one of our successes, I feel, is that we've been able to connect within the community. And that's been a huge part of what we've done. But unfortunately, how many hands have been in at the store? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're missing like 35 people that haven't been to the store, and it's literally a football throw away from here. So we get people that come in every week and they go, oh, hey, dude, you have a game store? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I've been here all year. And he's like, oh, I've never even noticed. And he's lived here for 5 years. So it's just one of those things like, what do we do in that scenario when we have local people that have no idea that we're even here? We had a family come in. They did kind of like a homeschool event this last week. And all these parents came in and said, are you kidding me? There's a game store here? They had no idea. They got excited about it, bought a bunch of games. We're going to start bringing their kids back in. But they had no idea. So any thoughts? What is a problem with that? How do you connect with the people in this town that we're not missing? What do you guys think it might be? How about Bridger? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're good. So that's part of it. So we're just on Main Street, and there is a tree that blocks our sign. Except for in December when all the leaves have fallen off. But it's right next to Roy's Pizza. But that's exactly right, though. So there's one of them. What about high? More advertisement. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So more advertisement.
You could go to events at the local college where most of the
Mhm. Yeah, finding out where the bigger events are happening and being part of those events, right? So this year we're doing something different. We'll be at the Scandinavian Days in the booth as well. So there's one extra step, right? There's also social media. When we both run two jobs, as an entrepreneur, you'll probably end up doing that. You don't always have time to, I'm gonna take 10 minutes and do a social media post and edit a video. Who's edited a video in here before? Probably actually a lot of you compared to me, but it's one of those things, there's a lot of effort that goes into editing a stinking video and making it so the sound works and everything, just like these guys are already pros at it, right? So those are a couple things that we're realizing as we're going through it as weak points. So as an entrepreneur, it's constantly reevaluating what you are doing and as being humble in the fact of, oh, yeah, I just need to own it. I lack discipline. I need to take care of those things. So the better you want to do in business, the better you want to grow, is you have to be disciplined. Who can tell me the difference between motivation and discipline?
Motivation can be fleeting, discipline, you're consistent.
Okay. What else? Was there another hand? Yes.
Doing things when you feel like doing them. Discipline is doing things when you don't feel like doing them.
Perfect. So motivation, doing things when you, oh yeah, bro, which one? Yeah, there you go. So exactly, motivation, doing things, well, discipline is doing the things that you need to do. Motivation, it's when you get that whim and you feel all excited about it. So one of the key things that we need to all be aware of is that if you want to succeed in the entrepreneur life, in creating a business and building your own brand, building your own life, if you don't have the constant discipline and that work ethic, it's going to be very difficult to do. And so just making sure that you do those things. I did want to read a review about something good that we are doing within the community, and this was part of our goal. Having explored many game stores around the country, this is by far the most memorable spot I've been. The board game selection is above average. The rental system is very convenient, even for travelers. The real stars of the location, however, are the owner and their employees. They are undeniably kind and have had lasting impression on me, despite the fact I went earlier in the week and normally would have forgotten such an encounter. I felt welcomed and instantly included as part of their gaming community. It was a very special experience. Okay, so that's just one. If you go through, all of our reviews are like that. It's about the staff. It's about the relationships. People walk in, and it's very easy to go, when people come in regularly, it's like, Heidi, what's up? And they say, hey, Russ, hey, Ben. And they just laugh, hey, Melissa, and they have instant connections with us. We were basically a third place, and that was part of our goal, like Ben talked about, was making connections. People need friends. People need relationships. That's why we play Dungeons and Dragons. That's why we have murder mystery nights. That's why we do live action board games. We want to do things, date nights even. We want to bring people together and have it as a place of gathering. So that's one of the big things that's driven us to where we are today. Now, one last lesson with this that I want to point out is, if you guys have a notebook, write it down, or pencil or paper. But as you go through life, they have phones. Put it in your phone or your computer. Is put at the top, physical. Right below that, spiritual or mental, kind of both. And then business. If you don't have the physical aspect down, if you're not getting mental clarity from doing some sort of physical activity, it's going to be harder to execute on decisions when the stresses add up. It's just the mental clarity. And then the business will follow. If you are feeling healthy, you've got a clear mind, the business will follow. You'll be able to take actions. And this is standing out to me more and more as I'm getting older. My friend wanted to get together and said, hey, as old guys, we should get together and do monthly Olympics with all the brothers. Oh yeah, great, let's do monthly Olympics. He's my kung fu friend. He's fine. First game, basketball, broken ankle. Okay, maybe this is a bad idea. Last time we played football at Thanksgiving, somebody else got broken something. Like, maybe this is just bad. Like, we should stop. We started playing cornhole. Very safe, right? We hope it's safe. Until one of my friends decided to do the worm on the grass out of random and immediately yells, oh, my back. So, I mean, once you hit 30, guys, your body starts going, oh, yeah. Like, you quickly notice that you're not taking care of yourself. So when you're 20s, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'll bounce back. But then it just compounds. But we can choose if we take care of our physical. Even that's going on a walk. That's a morning stretch. That is something just to focus on our body for a minute and be grateful for the body that we have. That makes a big difference. And then the mind, having that clarity, self-developing, self-improving, learning about what ways can you improve as a speaker? What ways can you improve in your interactions with people? All those things are core in developing. But are there any questions for Ben or I about maybe on anything about us, whether it's the business, any struggles getting from, I missed the game, but from this to a game store, things like that. We got a couple minutes. And you'll get a wristband. Oh no, did I miss? Yeah, I missed you too. I missed you, right, bro? Yeah, that's what I thought. Did you get you one? Okay, you got one. All right. Yes, sir. So we started October of 22, but that was the physical business location. We probably started in 21, actually 19.
We started building games before COVID. We were starting to figure out how to get stuff moved around. Sorry. The other piece you need to know is, see this game? Oh, where'd it go? Here it is. How much is this to mail across the country? Do you know? It was $19 or $21 to mail this. So I could sell you a game for 19 bucks, charge you $21 for shipping and handling, and I'm still breaking even, right? I'm not really getting anywhere. So we're not Amazon. Amazon's great, so you could send them all to Amazon maybe. I don't know. So we were trying to figure that out. But then COVID hit, and it was like everybody stopped everything. And so it was like, I don't know. And that's part of it.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. No, yeah, perfect.
We've been toying with it. We've been messing. So like this game, messing with since, when did we get married? 1999?
25 years ago. So yeah, that's a great question. So really your dreams, they can take a long time. And the world will throw curveballs at you. Any other last questions? Because it is time. Yes, sir. Yeah, great question. Last time we had 20 people that all came in. They all got to get a random character was assigned to them that they had to portray during that evening. And we brought in like some treats and some snacks. And they had different stages where stage 1, people are getting to know each other and their backstory. Stage 2, somebody gets murdered.
With your character, you have a script, a little piece that says this is what you do, and so this is how you answer these questions. Or it says you need to go talk to so-and-so and tell them this. Mm-hmm. And so you go find that person and you tell them that. And everybody's supposed to be paying attention to what's going on so they can feel and try to figure out who the murderer is by the end. It's great fun.
Did those happen regularly? Is there a schedule? Is that what you were asking?
Yes, when?
Oh, when? Sorry. They're on our webpage. I think our next one's March 18th or 16th.
We'll hand them out, though. We'll hand these out.
Valentine's Day stuff.
Oh, Kinsey wants me to tell you about Valentine's Day stuff. So in our store today, because it's Valentine's Day, we don't open till 3 because we're usually at other jobs, but we have unicorn ducks. If you can find a beautiful unicorn duck, you get to come to the front. We'll roll a dice or let you roll a dice, and you can win a prize that way. So, because we know that. Anyway, it's all good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.